Anger is natural. It's one of the first emotions we ever experience, and it exists for a reason. When something feels unfair, threatening, or painful, anger shows up to protect us. It gives us energy. It tells us that something matters, so feeling angry does not make you weak, broken, or wrong. It makes you human. Every person in this room, no matter how calm or successful they appear, has felt anger rise inside them at some point. The problem has never been the emotion itself. The problem begins when anger takes control instead of being acknowledged. Uncontrolled anger is like fire without boundaries. Fire can cook your food and keep you warm, but without control, it burns homes to the ground. In the same way, anger without direction doesn't solve problems. It creates them. A single angry moment can undo years of hard work. A few careless words spoken in rage can damage relationships that took a lifetime to build. We've all seen it happen, and if we're honest, many of us have lived it. When anger takes over, logic steps aside. We say things we don't mean, make decisions we wouldn't normally make, and react in ways that don't reflect who we truly are, and afterward comes the regret, the apology. The question we ask ourselves in silence, why did I let that moment control me? That's the danger of anger. Not the feeling, but the loss of control that follows when we don't pause. What makes uncontrolled anger especially dangerous is how fast it works. It doesn't announce itself or give us time to prepare. It rushes in, demands action, and convinces us that reacting immediately is necessary. But most of the time, it's not. Most situations don't require an instant reaction. They require understanding, patience, and clarity. Anger tells us to react now. Wisdom tells us to wait. Learning to recognize anger as a signal, rather than a command, changes everything. The moment you notice anger rising and choose not to act on it, you take back control. You don't suppress it or pretend it isn't there. You simply refuse to let it decide your next move. That single choice, to pause, is where strength begins. Because when you understand that anger is natural but losing control is dangerous, you stop fighting the emotion and start mastering it. And that mastery is the first step toward mastering your life. Uncontrolled anger doesn't just live inside us, it spills outward and touches everything around us. It quietly damages relationships and steals opportunities, often in ways we don't notice, until it's too late. One angry outburst may feel justified in the moment, but the consequences can last far longer than the emotion itself. People may forget the details of an argument, but they rarely forget how you made them feel. Think about how trust is built. It grows through consistency, respect, and emotional safety. Anger, when left unchecked, does the opposite. It makes people walk on eggshells. It turns conversations into battles and homes into tense spaces. Friends pull away not because they stop caring, but because they're tired of being hurt. Partners become distant. Children grow quiet. And slowly, without realizing it, anger builds walls where bridges once stood. In professional life, the cost can be just as high. A moment of rage in a meeting, a harsh email sent without thought, or a disrespectful response to feedback can close doors permanently. Talent and intelligence matter, but emotional control often matters more. Opportunities are given to people who can be true. Stead under pressure. When anger takes over, it signals unpredictability, and unpredictability makes others hesitant to rely on you. What makes this even more painful is that most damage caused by anger is unintentional. Very few people wake up wanting to hurt others or sabotage their own future. It happens because anger narrows our focus. In that moment, we're not thinking about long-term goals, relationships, or consequences. We're focused on being right, being heard, or releasing the pressure inside us. But once the moment passes, the damage remains. Anger also has a way of repeating itself. One unresolved outburst leads to guilt. Guilt turns into frustration, and frustration feeds the next explosion. Over time, this cycle can define how others see us, not by our values or intentions, but by our reactions at our worst moments. That's how anger quietly rewrites our story. The truth is, relationships and opportunities thrive on emotional safety. People want to be around those who make them feel respected, calm, and understood, even during disagreement. When you learn to manage anger, you don't lose your voice, you strengthen it. You can still set boundaries, express disappointment, and stand your ground without burning everything down. Every time you choose control over chaos, you protect something valuable. You protect trust. You protect your reputation. You protect the future you're working toward. And once you realize that anger can cost you what you care about most, you begin to understand why mastering it isn't just personal growth, it's life-changing. There is a small space between feeling anger and acting on it, and that space has the power to change everything. Most people never notice it because anger moves fast. It rushes through the body, tightens the chest, speeds up the mind, and demands an immediate response. In those moments, reacting feels automatic, almost unavoidable. But it isn't. That brief pause, even a few seconds, can completely alter the outcome of a situation. Pausing before reacting doesn't mean ignoring the problem or pretending you don't care. It means giving yourself time to regain control. When you pause, your emotions stop driving the wheel, and your judgment has a chance to catch up. That pause allows you to ask a simple but powerful question: what will happen if I say or do this right now? Often the answer is enough to stop us from making a choice we'll regret. Think about how many conflicts escalate simply because no one paused. A sharp comment is met with another, voices rise, and suddenly something small becomes something damaging. But when one person pauses, the entire direction can change. Silence can cool tension. A deep breath can lower intensity. A delayed response can turn an argument into a conversation. That pause doesn't make you weak, it makes you aware. Pausing also gives you the ability to choose your response rather than surrender to impulse. Reacting is emotional, responding is intentional. When you pause, you create room for patience, empathy, and perspective. You may realize the other person didn't mean harm. You may see that the issue isn't worth the emotional cost. Or you may still choose to speak firmly, but with clarity instead of anger. That difference changes how your message is received. Over time, pausing becomes a habit. What once felt impossible becomes natural. Your body learns that anger doesn't always lead to action. Your mind learns that calm is an option. And as this habit grows, so does your sense of control. Situations that once triggered you begin to lose their power. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Pausing also builds respect, both from others and from yourself. People notice when you don't explode under pressure. They trust your reactions. They feel safe expressing themselves around you. And inside, you feel proud knowing you didn't let a moment define you. That inner respect is quiet, but it's powerful. In the end, a pause may only last seconds, but its impact can last a lifetime. Because when you pause before reacting, you don't just change the moment, you change the direction of your life. For a long time, the world has confused strength with aggression. We're taught, sometimes without words, that raising your voice means you're powerful, that intimidating others proves you're in control, and that staying calm makes you look weak. But real strength has never been about how loudly you can react. True strength is revealed in restraint. It shows up when you have every reason to explode, yet you choose not to. Anyone can lose their temper. That takes no skill, no discipline, and no courage. It's easy to let emotions run wild. What's difficult, and therefore powerful, is staying steady when emotions surge. It takes strength to hold your tongue when anger begs you to speak. It takes strength to walk away from a situation that could damage you. And it takes strength to respond with calm when chaos is the easier option. Self-control is not silence or submission. It doesn't mean allowing disrespect or ignoring injustice. It means choosing the most effective response instead of the most emotional one. When you act from control, your words carry weight. People listen. They don't feel attacked, they feel addressed. That's how real influence works. Not through AR, but through composure. Look at the people you admire most, leaders, mentors, or even someone in your own life. Chances are they don't react impulsively. They pause, they think, they speak with intention. Their calm presence commands respect without demanding it. That kind of authority isn't forced, it's earned through emotional discipline. Self-control also strengthens you from the inside. Every time you resist the urge to react in anger, you prove to yourself that you are capable of mastery. That confidence doesn't come from dominating others, it comes from knowing you can dominate your impulses. Over time, that inner strength becomes unshakable. External situations may still be difficult, but they no longer control you. There's also a quiet courage in choosing calm. It often means swallowing pride, letting go of the need to be right in the moment, or accepting that not every battle deserves your energy. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. You're not avoiding conflict, you're choosing battles that matter. When you understand that self-control is a true sign of strength, the way you see yourself changes. You stop proving power through reactions and start demonstrating it through restraint. And in that restraint, you discover a level of strength that no outburst could ever give you. When you choose calm in moments of anger, you give yourself a gift that most people overlook: clarity. Anger clouds judgment. It narrows your vision and makes every situation feel urgent and extreme. Calm does the opposite. It opens your perspective and allows you to see the situation for what it truly is, not what your emotions are telling you it is. And with that clarity comes better decisions. Calm doesn't mean the absence of emotion, it means you're no longer controlled by it. When you stay calm, you can think ahead instead of being trapped in the moment. You consider consequences. You weigh your words. You act in ways that align with your values, not just your feelings. That's how calm becomes a bridge to wisdom. Better decisions shape better outcomes. A calm response can turn a potential argument into a meaningful discussion. It can protect a relationship from unnecessary damage. It can keep a small mistake from becoming a life-altering problem. Most regrets don't come from moments of patience, they come from moments of anger we wish we could take back. Choosing calm also creates inner peace. And inner peace is not something you find, it's something you practice. Each time you refuse to react impulsively, you strengthen that peace. Your mind becomes quieter, your stress levels decrease, you stop replaying arguments in your head and start sleeping better at night. Calm gives you emotional space, and in that space, peace begins to grow. Life will always present challenges. People will disappoint you. Situations will feel unfair. Calm doesn't remove these realities, but it changes how they affect you. Instead of draining your energy, challenges become manageable. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you feel grounded. That grounded feeling is powerful because it allows you to move forward without carrying unnecessary emotional weight. Calm also improves how others experience you. People feel safer around someone who doesn't explode under pressure. They trust your judgment. They're more open to listening and working with you. Calm becomes a quiet form of leadership, one that influences without forcing and guides without shouting. Most importantly, choosing calm helps you stay aligned with who you want to be. It keeps your actions consistent with your goals and values. You don't have to apologize for reactions that don't represent you. You don't have to repair damage that never happened. Calm protects your future by keeping your present decisions clean and intentional. In the end, calm is not passive, it's powerful. It sharpens your mind, settles your heart, and leads you toward a life guided by wisdom instead of regret. When you beg. And to master your anger, something remarkable happens. Your entire life starts to shift. Not all at once, and not in dramatic flashes, but in steady, meaningful ways that compound over time. Mastering anger isn't about becoming emotionless or perfect, it's about becoming intentional. And intention is what separates a life that feels out of control from one that feels guided and purposeful. Anger often makes us feel powerful in the moment, but it actually gives our power away. It hands control to circumstances, to other people's words, to situations we can't always change. When you learn to manage anger, you take that power back. You decide how much influence something has over you. You choose your response. That choice is freedom. With anger under control, your relationships deepen. Communication improves because you're no longer speaking from impulse. You listen more. You understand more. You create space for honesty instead of fear. People feel respected around you, and respect is the foundation of every strong relationship. When anger no longer dominates your interactions, connection begins to flourish. Your confidence also grows, not the loud kind that needs to prove itself, but a quiet confidence rooted in self-trust. You know that no matter what happens, you can handle it without losing yourself. That belief changes how you walk into challenges. You're no longer afraid of pressure, because you've learned how to stay centered within it. Mastering anger also sharpens your focus. Energy that was once wasted on arguments, resentment, and regret becomes available for growth. You think clearer, you plan better, you move forward with less emotional baggage weighing you down. Progress becomes smoother because we're no longer constantly stopping to repair damage caused by reactions you wish you could undo. Life doesn't become easier when you master anger, but you become stronger. Problems still appear, but they no longer overwhelm you. You face them with patience and perspective. You respond instead of react. And with each calm response, you reinforce the kind of life you're building. Eventually, mastering anger becomes mastering yourself, And when you master yourself, you master your time, your energy, your decisions, and your direction. That's when life stops happening to you and starts moving with you. Control your anger, and you control your life.